Hi, this is Professor Favors, and so this is the lecture on compound sentences, and we're going to look at method number one, which includes adding a comma and a fanboy, one of the fanboys. And so this lecture also reviews simple sentence patterns so you can make the connection. So this is the lecture on compound sentences using method one. Uh, Method number one, comma plus fanboys. This lecture also reviews the 5 simple sentence patterns and corresponds to the practices, assignments, and quizzes. You can take this information is taken directly from the course text, which is titled Fundamentals of College Writing. So, reviewing the 5 simple sentence patterns first, you can find this discussion on pages 29 to 36 and 41 to 45 in the course text. Okay, and just remember that the simple sentence is defined as a sentence that houses a subject and a verb and that makes sense without any additional phrases or words, right? So even if the thought is not complete in terms of answering why or in what way or where, any of the W's, who, what, when, where, why, it still can be considered a sentence, a simple sentence that does not need further explanation in terms of grammatical appropriateness. So a simple sentence is called an independent clause. So Tom threw the ball, John ran. And then these two sentences are considered independent clauses and make sense apart from adding other words to make it a complete thought. To make it a complete thought would be to answer why Tom threw the ball, or why John ran. And then we have subject. Always remember that the subject performs the action. So the who or what that performs the action. So the cat chased the mouse. Who chased the mouse? The cat. Verb, a word that shows action or links the subject. So it can be a regular verb in different tense forms, and then it can be the verbs that are part of the be verb family: is, am, are, was, and where. So the quarterback fumbled the ball. Tony Romo is the Cowboys quarterback. And then a phrase, a group of words without a subject and a verb. So it can be on the floor, the red car, muddy feet, flowing water. And then a clause, a group of words with a subject and a verb. The dog is sleeping, so it's still a simple sentence, independent clause. After the class ends, and this is a good way to know if your verb, if your clause is either independent or dependent, is if you just read it aloud. And so after the class ends, you stop right there. You see, you're wanting to know, okay, so what happened after the class ends? That's why this makes it a fragment, because you have just a clause, which is really a dependent clause with the punctuation mark at the end. Okay, so when you understand the simple sentence as functioning as an independent clause, it is easier to detect what might be a fragment or dependent clause. And remember that the dependent clause works like a baby, the independent clause works like a mother. So the baby needs the mother, but the mother does not need the baby. Okay, sentence patterns. So remember, subject verb, compound subject compound subject compound verb, and then verb subject verb compound subject. So note the examples there. You can also download this document on eCampus to further review this material. And then exercises, of course, the man jogged around the park. The man and his dog jogged around the park. The sweet potato pie tastes and smells delicious. A Mazda, a Chrysler, and a Volkswagen were in the parking lot. One of my favorite movies is Star Wars. And so we said that the best way to know if Star Wars in the previous sentence is actually the subject of the sentence is just to kind of rewrite it. So Star Wars is one of my favorite movies. And then let me just add something right here. And this is just rewriting. And then the neighbors cut the grass, weeded the flower bed, and mended the fence between our houses. And then he and I ran and swam. And then, of course, when you identifying the subject and a verb of the sentence, that helps you also to understand the sentence. So the remake of Greece was very successful. The Supreme Court makes the final decision. The fourth Thursday in November is celebrated as Thanksgiving Day. Jennifer and Cameron like to paint. Several exchange students from Europe are staying with local families, and here are your jacket and hat. And I understand that jacket and hat is already the subject of the sentence, so we know it's in plural form. That means you immediately find where the verb is, and that should also be in plural form. So let's get into compound sentences. The discussion on compound sentences can be found on pages 47 to 43. A compound sentence is defined as joining two or more simple sentences. So remember, Tom threw the ball, John ran, which are considered independent clauses, with a coordinating conjunction, method number one, a semicolon by itself, method number two, or a conjunctive adverb, method number three. Note the differences on the next page. This lecture covers method number one. And so method number one is essentially comma plus fanboys. So one of the fanboys. So let's look at the simple sentences. So we have a simple sentence column, a compound sentence, and then coordinating conjunction or coordinating word or punctuation. So Lynn likes to eat pickles. Remember, Lynn and on all three rows under the simple sentence column is going to like to eat pickles. We don't know why she likes to eat pickles. It doesn't really matter in terms of us understanding that this is an independent clause, a simple sentence, and it can function by itself. But when we want to answer why she likes to eat pickles or what her tastes are or if there's any contrast, then we can add a one of the fanboys. We could add a semicolon. A semicolon is essentially whatever is on the right side of the semicolon is just an explanation of what was typed on the left side. Okay, and then the conjunctive adverb is sort of like a much more uh, professional way of adding to a sentence. So this is simple versus compound. Lynn likes to eat pickles, comma, but she does not like them on her hamburger. So this tells you that there's a contrast. So then if you understand that the original sentence is a contrast, then when you use a conjunctive adverb, like however, it's going to work, it's going to function the same way. Lynn likes to eat pickles, semicolon, she does not like them on her hamburgers. Okay, so it's just adding more information about why Lynn likes to eat pickles. Um, Lynn likes to eat pickles, semicolon, however, comma, she does not like them on her hamburger. So note the difference in how the punctuation mark is used. So for the fanboys are for and nor, but, or, yet, and so. And so for the fanboys, the comma comes before the fanboys. For the conjunctive adverb, you have a semicolon conjunctive adverb like however, comma. Okay, so let's look at other examples or the main table first. So here is a summary of the methods. Method number one will be comma plus fanboys. And there are the definitions, and you see that there's a comma placed before the fanboy, then the fanboy, and it gives you the definition. So for is usually defined in terms of because, and is defined in terms of additional. Nor is for negative, but is for contrast, or is for choice, or you could use the word alternative. Yet is for contrast, and then so is for result or consequence. And then, of course, semicolon by itself, and sample conjunctive adverbs that you use practically every day are or as a result, consequently, for example, furthermore, however, in addition, in contrast, on the other hand, otherwise, then, therefore, and unfortunately. And do notice the pattern. So that's a semicolon, the conjunctive adverb, and then comma. Okay, so let's look at some exercises, remembering that we are adding a coordinating word. And the coordinating word is just another way of saying coordinating conjunction, which is actually the technical term in terms of grammatics. So then let's create the pattern, common, and fanboy. So Lola wanted to buy a new car. She started to save 10% of her weekly paycheck. So let's rewrite it. Lola wanted to buy a new car, comma, so she started to save 10%, 10%, 10%. Where is the percent sign? 10% of her weekly paycheck. Okay. So therefore it works like therefore. So then if we wanted to use therefore, we could easily do Lola wanted to buy a new car. Semicolon, therefore, comma, she started save 10% of her weekly paycheck. Okay. That is method number 3. So this is method 1, and this is method number 3. Okay. And then if we wanted to just add a semicolon, it would be Lola wanted to buy a new car, semicolon, she started to save 10% of her weekly paycheck. And that is method number 2. Okay. So it just makes it easier. If you added the semicolon first, and put it on the second line, then it would have been easier just to add the therefore comma after that. So I'm not going to go through all 3, but I will create the sentence for all of the rest of the sentences. Sam likes to eat gummy bears. So it's either but, nor, or. Okay. So Sam likes to eat gummy bears, comma, but Deborah prefers licorice. So they're both candies. They're both candies or types of candies or types of sweets. But one person prefers one thing and another person prefers another. And that's why we're using but. Okay. Jack went to bed at, let's see if I can see this. Jack went to bed at 7 p.m., comma, he needs to get up at 5 a.m. And so for this, we couldn't use yet he needs to get up at 5 a.m. or nor he needs to get up at 5 a.m. So it has to be for he needs to get up at 5 a.m. Meaning that's a reason why he went to bed at 7 p.m. Okay. If we look at Kelly walks 5 miles a day, comma, she has not lost any weight. So we're looking for a contrast, right? So we're not going to look for so, because that's going to give us something like a consequence. So therefore, we're not going to look at nor, because even though there is there is a negative aspect of this, it doesn't explain why. So Kelly walks 5 miles a day, yet she has not lost any weight. So what is going on with Kelly to the point that she's walking 5 miles a day, but she's not actually losing any weight? Okay. Jessica needs a new laptop, comma, she cannot afford to buy one. So we understand that there's a contract, but she cannot afford to buy one. Okay. Milton, bring this up a little bit. Milton runs 10 miles every week, comma. He is training to run a marathon. For he is training to run a marathon. Okay. My dentist, because it's telling you what the reasoning is for why he's running 10 miles every week. My dentist decided to retire, comma, I must find a new one. So that tells me I have to do something. So I must find a new one, because it's giving you like the consequence of something. Okay. So these are the sample sentences for how to create a compound sentence. And you have the first method here that gives you how to add a comma and then one of the fanboys based upon the sense of the sentence. So take some time to review this. Your quiz, your assignment, of course, and discussion board will be available soon. So this is lecture compound sentences, method number 1, fanboys, and then a review of 5 simple sentence patterns.